And oh boy, not a good start. Good afternoon, hey everybody. DJ Oakley with you here live from the Athletics Studios in Athletics, and it's all brought to you thanks to our friends at Toyota of Warren. DJ Oakley with you here on this gloomy Monday here on the 16th of December 2024. Santa Claus right around the corner, ladies and gents, just a little over a week away. Got some vacuuming going on here at Athletics. Keeping it clean, keeping it tidy. Just over a week away from Christmas 2024. I hope everybody's been on the nice list this year. I got a couple kids that are on the border back at the old Yoakley Ranch. But I'm sure that Santa Claus will make his way to the Oakley house. We got a great show for you today. A lot to talk about. We're going to start the show off with a little bit of a recap of what happened this weekend from a perspective of the Mark Vincent Pellini Center of Excellence Award that was held at St. Luke's on Saturday. I was able to have the great fortune to be the master of ceremonies for that. Guest speaker was Bo Pellini, which we had on last week to talk about this particular award. And let me tell you, I'm usually the guy that is kind of poo-pooing awards, right? Award season comes around. A lot of them, including ours, pardon me, people look at as participation trophies or, just ways to credit the guys that came up short or what. Listen, awards are awards. Awards, a lot of them are very, if you look at the grand scheme and the grand scale of things, a lot of them will be political. But when you talk about local awards, I'll tell you what, there's some weight that is carried with them. And what I like the most about awards for us is they're voted on. And it's a raise of hands. It's a, hey, did they impress you? It's not what their name is, who they are. It's what have they done? And it's what have they done for the season? It's not what did they do last season and the season before that and the season before that? What are they potentially going to do? What did they do? And what I am most impressed with this particular awards that happened on Saturday, the Center of Excellence Award. Number one, it was just about offensive linemen specifically. Like that's a niche by itself. Specifically, centers that were seniors. So you've got like a niche in a niche in a niche. I mean, very, very far down the rabbit hole. And you still were able to get 12 finalists with a 13th that showed up. One of the honorable mentions, and I believe the young man was from LeBray and his family from LeBray showed up. That by itself shows maturity, shows the fraternal instincts of what it is to be an offensive lineman. And what I can tell you is, as just an outsider, as a guy that was there to just be kind of the circus master, if you will, not that it was a circus, but you know what I'm getting at. I saw quarterbacks, receivers, fellow linemen showing up to support their center. And I got to tell you, it meant something to me because you look at this and, you look at the Heisman Trophy that happened on Saturday night. The backs, the skill players, as they say, always get the glory. They get the touchdowns. They get all of it. And here we are in middle of December, and we're talking about centers. And we're not just talking about the grade out that they had. We're talking about their character, their faith, what they do in the community. We're talking about all of that. And I think that is, it quickly became one of my favorite awards that is passed out, ours included. I wish we could do something like this, but I'm going to leave it to the experts. When you're talking about the Pellinis, when you're talking about the Zordiches, when you're talking about Nico Mancuso, when you're talking about, everybody, Tim Marlowe, the list goes up and down. The people that were the selection committee, it was a who's who. And for these 12 finalists, and there's 11 guys on that list that were at this awards banquet that didn't win. And we'll put that in air quotes. They didn't win. Let me tell you something, boys. Gentlemen, you already won. You already hit it out of the park. You scored your touchdown. The company inside that banquet center, man, the stories you could tell. Unbelievable. From the coaches to the speakers to just you look around that room. It was incredible. And even more so is the support that was had for these senior centers. The winner coming from Welsh Jesuit, Matthew DeCiccio. And this kid had a resume. He had a long list of things, accolades, and he's a big boy. But we're going to go through kind of one by one, if you don't mind, if you'd indulge me here for a second to give these young men their 10 seconds of fame, even after this was happening. Starting with Andrew Bryan of South Range, Dave Rock, his head coach, obviously, young man that we followed throughout his career. This guy, when you talk about Andrew Bryan, he is a quiet leader, but he is one that is going to get it done always. He is, to me, the creme de la creme of what you're looking for if you're a head football coach, and Dave Rock will tell you the same. This guy, leadership across the board. When you're looking at what he does, he's in is it 40? No, he's in something else. He's in all kinds of stuff, to be honest with you. And he was able to put it all into it and then come out smelling like a rose. This kid deserved to be there, no doubt. State champion in 2022. Certainly one of the area's best centers and deserved his own table there and got it. So congrats to Andrew Bryan. Also, Jameer Barrage from Valley Christian. Obviously, Andy, his head coach, if you've been a fan of the show at all, what I can tell you about Jameer Barrage is this young man, Andy said it didn't matter what team he was on. If he wasn't the center, he would have been a guard. If he wasn't the guard, he would have been a tackle. And for a head coach like Andy, who shoots it straight, I think, as we all understand, for him to say that he could play for anybody goes a long way. It goes a long, long way. And you look at what that offensive line, led by Mr. Barrage, did on the season, and you look at everything that Ja'Shawn Lindsay did, you look at the touchdown ratio that the quarterback had passing, it's incredible. And it all starts, I'm telling you, it all starts with the center. Always starts with the center. He is the hinge point on that offensive line. As the line goes, he goes. And as he goes, the rest of the line goes. Also, in there was Nate Cross, Archbishop Hoban, Tim Terrell, his head coach. Obviously, we're very well acquainted with Archbishop Hoban. Had like a 93% scoring rate. When you talk about what he does, is to my understanding, the way that it goes is he did his job above average 93% of the time. That is A with flying colors, folks. And I know football is a team game, but if that guy is the leader, I think the rest of the team's in good shape, and probably a very good reason of why Archbishop Hoban is in the dance seemingly every year. Matthew DeCiccio, Welsh Jesuit, um, the winner. And I'll tell you what, this young man, skyscraper build. I mean, he was a big boy, but he was as humble as pie. He was as good as it got. He couldn't have been more gracious and just anchored. And it was good to see. It was good to see. Mikey Ekman of Salem, this young man overcame so much adversity to come back. He had to have surgery after his junior season, came back and really led that Salem offensive line. Mikey Ekman deserved to be there. You know, if you're talking about a tough season, respectively, for the Quakers, and this young man was very big in how they got the wins that they did because they all rallied around him. Tegan Essig from Jackson over in Massillon, another great young man, led the way for Jackson. And, you know, his head coach, Jay Rohr, speaks volumes about his center, as they all do. And that's what was so great about this day. You always hear the chatter about quarterbacks and tailbacks and wide receivers and tight ends and, you know, cornerbacks and linebackers. Man, to have those centers get that kind of love, even just for a day, a moment that the sun rose and set on the guy that snapped the ball, it was a great day. Dalton Johnson, East Palestine. You talk about what Coach Dempster, you know, when he put in the nomination, he talked about a guy that when the entire community was divided, this was the unifier. This young man, Dalton Johnson, was the unifier. He was the guy that was able to be the weightlifter of the year, make sure everybody gets into that weight room. And then you have a guy like Owen Yuriauchi who runs for 2,600 yards or so. Team runs for 2,600 yards. The vast majority of that being Owen behind this young man. Big old 72. Dalton Johnson certainly deserved his table on Saturday and got just odes of great reviews. Ethan Laszlo of Warren JFK, another guy. I mean, when you think about Warren JFK, we all think about, okay, JFK puts together this unbelievable program, the schedule, and they're going to play the best, and we'll see where they are when it comes to the playoffs. Well, when you look at Ethan again is the balancing point of what kind of happened with JFK. JFK battled a lot of injuries, and obviously Coach Bente, being the coach that he is, put a lot of that pressure right on Laszlo's shoulders. Being a leader, being able to construct this team, and again, I know it's kind of broken record. As Laszlo went, so did the Eagles. So you're talking about a team that once again made it to the playoffs, once again had a nice season, and JFK football back to its roots, which is winning, because of guys, specifically guys like Ethan Laszlo. Weston Little over at Sandy Valley. Don't know a whole lot about him, but what I gathered from the conversations that I was in leading up to the event and during the event was this is a kid that is so grounded and rooted and does so much for his community and is grateful for the opportunities that he's given. And, you know, when you're at a place like Sandy Valley, you need that. Your community lives and thrives with you every step of the way. And they certainly got behind Weston on Saturday. Hayden Martin from West Branch, say no more. I mean, when you're talking about a guy who can lead undefeated seasons, you know, and have really great years for his team, and you know, quarterback after quarterback, running back after running back, record after record, the Warriors break. And again, with due respect, those players get the attention and the records and their name goes in. But I think guys like Hayden Martin and the other offensive linemen that have been so good at West Branch should have claim to that title as well. And I think they have every right to. And that's not taking anything away from the players. Let's be honest. start and finish there. But at the same time, I think every parent knows when they have a skilled player, right? They all kind of look at the offensive line and defensive line parents, and they're like, "Can I buy you a cup of coffee? Can we make sure that, hey, your son, does he need a pizza tonight? He just had 7 pancake blocks. Does he need a pizza tonight? Let's make sure we make that 8 next week so my son can go on a run and this team can go even further." That's allowed to happen. That's okay. Because you got to take care of the line. There's a reason that every NFL quarterback buys their linemen Rolexes and cars and whatever it may be, and scooters and all kinds of good stuff. It's because he knows his career is in the hands of those big fellas up front. Guys like Hayden Martin at the high school level, these skill players are usually the guys that are buying lunch in the cafeteria for guys like Hayden Martin and the centers and the guards. Hey, buy for the kicker too while you're at it. And the holder. Kickers, you better be buying for your holder. Holders buy for the snap. I mean, it's circle. It's a circle. Nolan McKendry from Green was also in there. We also had, I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. That's a wrap. But, I mean, you look at all of the players that were represented on that list, and that's a lot. Oh, Balestrino, you scared me. Thought the sound wasn't working again. Oh, boy. That would have been it. We would have canceled the show. It would have been over. We would have just taken a knee and walked into 2025. That's where I'm at right now. But I'm glad the sound is working. Very glad the sound is working. But I'll tell you that I'm glad the sound is working because I'm glad that we got to shine a light on these young men. And for them to have a picture with Coach Pelini, which a lot of these kids I'm finding out are learning the story of Bo Pelini and, understanding that he was a defensive coordinator at LSU and Oklahoma and Nebraska before he was a head coach at Nebraska and Youngstown State University. He had a record, Bo did, of 155 as a head coach. I think Bo Pelini does not get the due that he is just. And his speech to these young men, boys and girls, when I'm telling you that he just sat back on the fastball and see you ball, goodbye. Now, don't get me wrong. Bo Pelini is still one of the most intimidating characters and men you will ever meet. He is all business all the time. But at the same time, when he delivers a speech, go ahead and pick a wall in your house. Look in your house right now. Pick a wall that you don't like. You will run through that wall after you hear a speech from Bo Pelini. When he talks about having to make the right choices under severe pressures at the next level, when he's talking to them, I'm 39 years old and I still got a lot of juice out of that box. These guys are sitting with a lot of Mott's apple juice after that. I mean, they should have been juiced up. They've got their whole lives ahead of them, and they had the extreme pleasure and opportunity to hear it from a D1 football coach who is telling them that there's going to come times where you're going to have to use your character and rely on your character and the people that you surround yourself with are going to be doing probably questionable things and making poor choices. But you have to rise above that if you want to be great. If you want to be unique, right? Unique is a bad thing or seen as a bad thing when you're in elementary school, middle school, high school. It's a bad thing. People don't like it. They want to be with the crowd. And the one line that still makes the hair on my arm stand up is that always remember that the maestro has his back to the audience, has his back to the crowd. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means that the leader is not always going to have to be, or cannot always be, the guy that goes with the crowd. The leader has to have his stuff in line, in order, and be looking at what he's been training for, looking at what he wants to do. If you want to be great, you have to be different. Think of all the different people in your life that maybe just a little tick off. I'm one of those people. They have that gene in them somewhere to be great. Now, whether they ever turn it on, that's up to them. But I'm telling you right now, if you have that in you and you are not afraid to be different, if you're not afraid to be the guy that's working at 2:00 in the morning on your craft while everybody else is sleeping or partying or doing all that, you're going to be different. If you can build that work ethic in everything you do to set yourself apart instead of trying to blend yourself in, you're going to be dangerous, and dangerous in a good way. The real world is going to see you, and the real world is going to absolutely be captivated. We like different. As a society, in entertainment, in sports, we like different. Different gives us an edge. Different gives you opportunity. That's what Bo Pelini was talking about. He was talking about you're going to have to be different if you want to be great. There's a lot of average in this world. There's a lot of people that will walk by and just be okay with being average. If you want to be great, you can't be average. You can't hold hands with average. That's what sets these 12 men, 13 men, if you include the young man from LeBray, that's what sets them apart. It's what sets greatness apart from being average. And most people think that it's just below average, average, great. No, there's about 90 shades of what you can be in greatness, and above average and slightly above average. Because there's people that'll push it just enough to be a little bit better than everybody else. And then there's those psychopaths that you look at and you go, I can't work for this guy. I can't be around this guy or gal. You can't compete with this person because they won't be denied. They'll argue with you, whatever that may be. And everybody looks at the story. Everybody looks at these guys that are, sitting at these tables, these 12 young men, 13 young men. Well, I had the stats. Sure. I'm sure you did. One of those young men worked 30 to 40 hours a week and plans to continue doing it. Another young man put in an incredible amount of community service. Here was the line that the teacher or the what they said, hey, you need 20 hours. He went past it, beyond it. Was it because he liked it, or was it because the community needed it and the job needed done? That's the difference. That's the difference. Difference is there's people in this world that'll sit there and they'll go, okay, I'm going to do it until I don't feel comfortable doing it anymore. And there's other people that'll do it and say, I'm not finishing until the job is done. These young men, these award winners are the people that you want to surround yourself with. That's the beacon that you want to follow. It's incredible. It really is. When you think about all the greatness that is in this region, We talk about it all the time. There are not enough hours in the day to cover the amount of greatness in this region. There's not. And that is not media fluff. You're talking about kids that are overcoming physical ailments, mental ailments, all of it. The list goes on and on. Kids that are overcoming broken homes. The thing that bothers me is people don't think that is adversity. That's just poor luck. No. That's adversity. Adversity isn't just whenever it's unfortunate for you. See, adversity is a blanketed word, and a word we use a lot because everybody battles their own adversity. But what you do with that, how you channel that, that's up to you. Everybody channels their I guess you call it being broken in some days. Broken crayons still color. I've heard that term before. It's true. But how much of the page are you going to color? How much juice do you have? How much of that wax do you still have on that crayon to color? And that's the biggest thing. To be able to not only color but finish the page. When I looked around that room, there were a lot of page finishers. There were a lot of potential page finishers. And that's what we need more of. We need more teammates. Because just because it isn't your crayon that colors doesn't mean that you can't pick up somebody else's and help them. And even still, that finishes your page, right? Nobody just wants to see an orange page. You want colors on that page. You want to know that that page, it pops. So when you look back, it's why it's so funny to have conversations about who's the best football team and then compare them to teams of the past. There was a lot of conversation about, well, if the 2024 team played the 2022 team for South Range, who would win? Doesn't matter. It's a different color, but it's the same page. You're all coloring that SR flag logo and making it pop. Oh, this is cool. Check this out. So Dom's hockey team has weekly classes, a sports psychology paid for by the organization. Pretty cool to see, in my opinion. Yeah, Dave, I think so too. And I think more people should get into the sports psychology side of things or just psychology in general. I think every I'm different. I felt like I belonged at a kind of liberal arts school because I needed a little bit of everything, but then to focus in on my major. So we had to take a Western Civ class. We had to take all these classes. We had to take a psychology class. We had to take all of these different classes. It's one of the main reasons I absolutely loved college. Here's a plug for Westminster College. I loved Westminster College for a lot of different reasons, and you're never going to hear me say this because everybody that knows me knows I was not a great student in high school, nor middle school. Elementary school, I can't even remember. I just remember I was damn good at kickball. I was a number one draft pick, kickball. Back in the day, your boy, he was number one Ysn. But I'll tell you this, when I got to college, things changed. Because there was no leaning on the teachers, the professors, whatever it may be. It was these people, these professors are there. They don't care whether you live or die, pass or fail necessarily, until you care about them. Their pay is not subject to whether you pass a class. That's not how it goes. Now, I have a story about that. Ironically, science has saved my life a couple times. But I guess science has saved my life a lot of times if you really think about it. But anyway, what I'm trying to get to is that the psychology of it. I think everybody needs to take a psych class, poli-sci class, whatever it may be, a business class, sales class, broadcasting class. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, not because they need to have interest in doing any of them, whether you're going to run for, political office, whether you're going to be a business owner, a sales guy or gal, or whether you're going to broadcast. But I think one of the most important skills in life is being able to speak to public, whether it is to a camera or whether it is to a room full of people, which here's what I'm going to tell you. I am a terrible public speaker. I do not like it. It gives me complete anxiety. I can do this all day long. I can interview in front of whoever, right? But if it is a scripted, like this is what you're supposed to say, this, and I apologize 1,000 times. In fact, I tried to crack a joke about how we were all doing a road game on Saturday. These centers are uncomfortable because they're finally getting the recognition they deserve. I'm uncomfortable because I'm not in a hoodie. I was in a suit, luckily no tie. And I made a joke that my wife picked it up for me from Build-A-Bear, which cracked the ice and got people a little bit more, lax. But because that was coming after Coach Pelini. And let me tell you something. If I love motivational speaking, buddy, I don't hold a candle to Bo Pelini. Like, I'm not even close. So you kind of have to go the opposite way, if that makes sense. You got to be kind of the Joker, from that perspective. Because as much as I loved it, everybody would sit there and be like, dude, who are you? What have you done? That dude played at Ohio State. He coached at Nebraska. And you were lucky to eat all the Cheerios in your Cheerio bowl this morning, pal. But regardless, I digress. That a political science class or gets you ready, because then you understand things a little bit, how things work, how to be political, right? And it's not a bad thing to have that in your arsenal where you can be politically correct. Also, not a bad thing to know how business works, because it's not just business. It's not just, this is how you run a business. This is how you file for this. This is how you do. No, it's business ethics. It's all that. And by the way, if you have just an ethics course, take it. But what I'm getting at is, in order to do great things, you're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that was the message sort of what Bo was talking about on Saturday. And I hope those young men, and I hope anybody in attendance, was at least the slightly bit moved. The needle moved a little bit in order to push it a little bit so people understand. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it again. And I need parents, if you're listening, I need you to outline this wherever your son or your daughter is in life. Please, especially if they're going to be a student athlete at the next level. I tell people all the time, not that it means anything coming from a former Division III bullpen catcher, essentially. But what I'll tell you is this. Your senior year brings you a ton of pats on the back. A ton of them. Some of them very deserved. Some of them just because of your age and because you passed 11 grades. And because people are going to give you the senior treatment, as I call it. And I don't mean any disrespect by this. I think every senior deserves their time in the limelight. But I would argue that there are two excuse me. There are two points in life that are the most challenging. At least it was for me, but I found it for others as well. Because you have to really, really be hard on yourself and ask yourself some tough questions. When you graduate from high school and you walk onto campus for the first time, or you walk into that trade school for the first time, there's going to be so much unfamiliarity, so much uncomfortability that you are going to second guess yourself why you started. There's not a whole lot of friendly faces. At the next level, what I'll tell you is this. Remember when you started playing baseball, football, volleyball, basketball, whatever it may be? Everybody was kind of, hey, we're in this together. This is your first real sip of competition. You may have been the absolute best at your school, but the absolute best at the other schools, all over the state, all over the country, all over the world, are coming to the same place you are. They're coming to take the job that you want. I wanted to be the starting varsity catcher on a college baseball team. I wasn't ready for that after I graduated. You're a 19-year-old, 18-year-old going against 23, 24-year-old men. You're not ready for that. Anybody that tells you you're ready for that is either lying or you need to level up. If you've got D1, unless you're completely a unicorn, right? Unless you're a unicorn and you are sitting there and a Division 1, 2, or 3 coach tells you you're starting varsity, as soon as you walk onto campus, you need to ask a couple questions. Why isn't there better competition? And who is your competition? Because I want to go there. There's a lot of people that'll take that slide, right? Right down. Hey, yeah, I'm varsity. First year, I'm in. That guy's never seen your work ethic, whatever it may be. And I'm not putting this on the recruiters because the recruiters, coaches will say anything to get you to go there. Mark it down. Mark it down. They took those sales classes. They know what to say. Then you get in there and they say, I've been kissing your ass for the last 7 months. You're mine now. Real story. Millen Rassick, Ohio Northern Baseball, recruited me, went there, 7 catchers. I learned a life lesson that day, real quick. Real quick. And I'll tell you what, that happens to more people than you'll realize. Everybody wants to be a Division I player. Everybody wants to say, I made it. They're looking for their story. They're looking for their point to it, their signing day. I held the back of I held my community on my back. Man, everybody wants that. There's so many different ways to do it though, folks. It really is a testimony to, again, the parents, the communities. Andy and I talk about it all the time. And I think this is one of the greatest. I don't know if it's a wonder. I don't know if it's an acknowledgement. I don't know if it is. I don't really know what it is. Maybe you can help me think this one through. We talk about Kirtland, the Hornets, right? Division 6 football, as if they are the crown jewel in the world around here. Northeast Ohio, at least, right? It's Kirtland. But why is it that Kirtland doesn't send many kids to college football? That's a question I have. And I think it's because they're not five fingers, they're a fist. I hope that resonates. I hope that, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, they're all 6 foot, 200 pounds. I mean, if you talk to Dan Yeagley, he'll tell you that they're all the same height on the other side of the field. All the helmets are on the same line. But here's my biggest question, or I guess the biggest compliment to Coach Laverde out there is Coach Tiger. Is you sit there and you go, he allows his team to go from individuals to a team. They win a lot of championships, or they go to a lot of championship caliber opportunities, and then they move on. Very few, a select few, go on to play college football. And I've never had the chance to interview any of the Kirtland players, but I can just assume that they're okay with that. But you look at, around here at least in the last 20 years, if you didn't go on to play, there was a legitimacy that was kind of faded or erased from your legacy. And I don't think that was, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think that was just. Because there's great high school athletes. There's incredibly hardworking high school athletes and student athletes that should be mounted on the walls of the halls in the high school forever. That's why I absolutely love high school Hall of Fames. Because you can have an unbelievable high school career and have no career at all in college in sports. And there's a lot of people that'll say, hey, yeah, you're that guy that says, hey, let's watch tape. No, but I do think that there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of reason that high school athletics is incredibly valuable because it sets the tone for the rest of your life. Or if you weren't successful in high school, you get a fresh restart. As soon as you hit your freshman year in college, you have an opportunity to see what everybody else did that you wanted to do and do it. And nobody knows the wiser. Nobody knows who the hell you are. They don't know that there was a all-state quarterback or all-state lineman or whatever. You can just take their work ethic, erase it and trace it, baby. And then guess what? You probably have a good chance of being successful if you just take that work ethic down. But it's the hard work, not the answers that you're chasing. The hard work will lead to those answers. They'll lead to the victories. They'll lead to the success. They'll lead to all of that. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to see someone. There's got to be a blueprint for it. And then you just basically wipe it away. You memorize it. You study it. Wipe it away. And draw it on your own board. Copy paste. There's a reason that if you see a successful play in football, you're going to see it again. It's a copycat league. So was winning in general. There's a reason that all these TikTok things are on your phone. There's a reason that everybody's like, if you see it happen more than once, there's a reason for that, because the original was successful and everybody is trying to get theirs. They're trying to get their piece of the cake. What does this have to do with what Coach Pelini talked about? How are we bringing this full circle? Well, it's as simple as this. Everybody else is going to do what's comfortable. Everybody else is going to say, I've been doing this for 35 years the same way. I've been doing this for 39 years. I've been doing this for 50 years. I've been doing this for and that's fine. If they're comfortable where they are, they're comfortable with who they are and where they're going to be. But those people are usually the people that are looking elsewhere and saying, well, why can't I do that? Why isn't that me? And give you 800 excuses as to why it's not them. When all they have to do is evaluate the people that are around them, because everybody knows. That's the thing in life. Everybody knows somebody that is successful. And success is in the eye of the beholder. If you want to be a better parent, go find the parent that you want to be like. Ask them the questions. Copy their work. Study it. Then you become it. If you want to be a better football coach, you don't go somewhere, you don't go do TED Talks to, if you're an 0-10, 1-9 football coach, you don't do TED Talks. You don't do motivational speeches. You go get your ass to some coaching clinics and you find the 10-0, 16-0 state championship coaches. How culture changes. If you can't hit a fastball, you don't sit there and you bat fastballs all day and BP. You sit and figure out how to hit a curve. And if you're trying to be a better spouse, a better student athlete, a better student in general, you put down the controller and you pick up the books. If you're trying to be a better spouse, you spend more time with them. You find reasons to spend more time with them. You figure out what you love, what they love, and you do more of that. That is being the maestro. That is turning your back to the crowd, because the crowd is just going to keep doing what they're doing, and they're going to talk about you, and it ain't going to be pretty. But at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable getting uncomfortable. If you want to be great, you can't be afraid to crack a few eggs and make that omelet. You cannot be afraid to step away and walk on your own. You cannot be afraid to do all of these things. Mike Tomlin famously talks about, we don't live in our fears. I understand. I understand that to a degree. But in order to not live in your fears, you have to understand that fear is an illusion. That standing in front of 200 people on a Saturday morning should not make or break your career, no matter who's in the room. There's 200 people there that didn't want to be where I was. There's 200 people there that didn't want to be where Coach Pelini was. Everybody wants that to be on TV. Everybody wants to be a head coach at a Division I university. But they don't want to do the stuff that you have to do and lead people and be the maestro. And sit there with the baton and create the orchestra. And understand that there's going to be times that it doesn't sound as great. But it's getting through and on to the next. Getting through and on to the next. Let's get better every step. Make the horn section a little louder next time. The strings, they really need to come to life. Percussion. We want to feel you like the heartbeat. That's what makes it so great. These 13 young men that we sat with on Saturday have the ability to create their own symphony, just like you. No matter where you are in life, you want to be the best at what you do. You want to be the best. If you didn't, you wouldn't have signed up to try it. Nobody signs up, in my mind, or in my circle, to be average. And being average doesn't mean that you're always going to be there. Use it as a starting block and get better. Get better every step of the way. Every time you have a rep, get better. It doesn't matter if it's in a game, in practice, in the classroom, get better. Teachers, you're going to have that stubborn student that doesn't want to learn. This is why you signed up for it. It wasn't for the 3 months of vacation in the summer. It's for the kid who doesn't want to be there. I was that kid. It took 2 teachers to change my life. You can be that teacher. This is why you were called to your calling. To do that. To be great. And greatness isn't always a final destination. Greatness comes in moments. We don't have to be great all the time. But when the moment is there, the opportunity hits, and greatness calls your name, will you answer it? That's the question. That's the question. Everybody wants to sit on their phones and twiddle their fingers, but when greatness calls, will you pick up? The great ones will. The average ones, send it to voicemail. Let's hit Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. That was all free range chickens, folks. Nothing was written. I didn't have a plan of attack till I came in. I hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. It's time for the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. They are everything electrical. You can visit them on the web at dickieelectric.com. The Joe Dickey Electric, what's your spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. How about let's go here. And this isn't a rant. This is just this weather. Everybody, now here's what I'm gonna tell you. You student athletes, you athletes all over, better be vitamin C, zinc, whatever you're pounding to stay healthy. Do it. Because the up and down weather and obviously being around a lot of people for the holidays, everybody is going to be sick. Sick as a dog. Come January 1st. It's coming. So I'm expecting a lot of this. Hopefully it's not nearly as bad as it's been in past years. But make sure with all this weather going on, it's 45 degrees outside right now. Doesn't look like it. It is 45 degrees out, and then it's going to go down to like 10 degrees, and then back up, and then back down. Folks, juice up. Whatever you have to do, zinc, whatever your concoctions are. The nasal disgusting thing that people do. My wife, I don't know how she does it. I don't know how in the world she does it. God bless her. God bless you if you do that too. Like, I'm all in on Flintstone vitamins. Those things could heal anything. Where did those go? That's my spark. Where did the Flintstone vitamins go? Are they still around? Because Dimetap, I'm still waiting on the answer to that one. Dimetap, it healed everything when I was young. Headache, Dimetap. Skin your knee, Dimetap. That was it. Mama Yoakley didn't mess around. It was Dimetap for everything. Then I come to find out, did a little research on my own, Google machine. Dimetap, just for kids. They don't make adult Dimetap. It's pretty messed up. You could probably just get a new bottle, throw it right in there. Healed. Or it could be the reason that I'm 5'4", because my parents use Dimetap for everything. That is our show today. God bless you. Thank you for hanging out with me for an hour. Hope you do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, we got a lot to talk about. We've got basketball on the agenda tonight. Visit ysnlive.com/live for all that information. And of course, you can always just go and click around. It's always a good time here. Congratulations to the big dog winners this week. We had 2, Kyler Bourne from East Palestine, Kaylee Wilkes from Girard, and Canfield won the Vantage Financial Play of the Week. Check it all off the box. That's why you need to take your business class. That's going to do it. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on ysnlive.com. Peace.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your